Okay, I think I'm live. Let me just get into the group and check. So by the way, if you're watching live, while I'm just checking that I'm live, say hello in the comments. So if you're watching this live, throw me a hashtag live. If you're watching this on replay, so at any point in the future, put a hashtag replay. Yes, there we go. Okay, so just checking that. Awesome. Okay, so as I said, if you're watching this live, throw me a hashtag live. If you're watching this on replay, throw me a hashtag replay. If you're a newbie, so if this is your first ever Monday night live stream, welcome. I'm really excited. I'm actually really excited because tonight, what I'm going to be talking about, I think it's applicable to most women that I speak to. Most women that I speak to before they work with us, or when they first join this group, or when we get chatting, one of the things that most of the women I speak to talk about is a lack of motivation, lack of willpower. And I did a poll a few weeks back, and it was the number one thing that most people in this group struggle with is motivation and willpower. So if that is you, let me know in the comments. Just put motivation or willpower, just put the one word in the comments below. Let me know if that is one thing that you feel you struggle with. Because tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down why that is. I'm going to explain to you why you're probably struggling with willpower and motivation. And I'm going to give you some actionable tips. And I'm going to show you what we do and how we help the women we work with to finally create endless motivation, to banish self-sabotage. So I'm going to be breaking all of that down tonight. So if you're excited, throw me a hashtag excited in the comments. If you're really ready for this, start pressing the like button, the love heart button. And by the way, if you haven't realized already, if you've never been on one of my Monday night live streams, I love you getting engaged. So whether you're watching this on replay, whether you're watching this live, I want you to engage. The more you engage, the more you're going to get out of it. The more that you're going to process, the more that's going to stick inside your head. So really get engaged with this, no matter whether you're watching now or in the future. The other thing, the second reason for doing this is the more that you engage, the more this shows people in the group that we're live. Okay, so it's super important because then more people in the group are going to see this, more people are going to jump into this, and I'm going to be able to help more people. We've got a group of nearly 2,000 women. So the more women that I can help, the better. Generally, we're seeing some amazing results, and I want to help as many women as possible. So if you're excited, throw me a hashtag excited. So let's just have a look at the comments quickly. So we've got Kerry, who's one of our members. She's here. Kath here. Zarina, who's just signed up. Good evening, Zarina. Tracy, who signed up for us. Debbie, another new member. Got a few, most women already here are members. Caroline, who's just signed up today. Well done, Caroline. Awesome to see you here. Suzanne. So loads and loads of members. We've got about 20 women watching. All the members love getting engaged. They are action takers. I want as many of you to get engaged in this as possible and take action. So already 25 already watching live. This could be the biggest live stream that we've had live today. So let's get on with it. Let me share my screen and let's get cracking. So how to create endless motivation and banish self-sabotage so that you can lose weight and keep it off for life. So we're going to go through the reasons why that people struggle with motivation, why they struggle with willpower, and what you can do differently to change that. So let's get into it. So first of all, do any of these apply to you? So one, it doesn't have to be all of these, but I would love to know before I get into this, are you someone that's wanting to, now things are opening up. You want to say yes to drinks with the girls, meals out with family, with loved ones, without your social life being ruled by the weighing scales or your diet. So just put a big fat yes in capitals if any of these apply to you. Like most of the women I speak to, they avoid social occasions either because, they don't like the way they look. They're very self-conscious. They don't want to be in pictures. They avoid going out just because of the way they feel about themselves. But also one of the other reasons is a lot of people avoid these because they're on a diet and it doesn't allow them to. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight as well. Are you someone that's looking to lose 15 or even more, maybe 30, 40 plus pounds? Like hopefully you've seen in this group that some of our clients have lost more than 40 pounds within 6 months without having to cut out carbs, without having to take shakes or anything like that. If you're frustrated, disheartened, sick of starting again Monday. So I think this is going to be the most applicable one tonight because a lot of the women I speak to that struggle with motivation and willpower, they are constantly jumping from one diet to the next, starting again Monday. And then the last thing, if you want to get rid of that negative self-talk, if you want to stop sabotaging your progress, So just put a big fat yes in the comments below if any one of these apply to you. It might not be all of them, might just be one of them, might be two of them. Just put a big fat yes so I can see who this is applying to. So yeah, see, Caroline said yes, Fiona, yes, Kerry, Zarina, Tracy, Alison, Joyce, saying hello, Joyce. Hi, Fiona. Awesome. So loads of people getting engaged. I'm loving this already. So before we get started, if you're new or you're watching this on replay and this is your first live stream you've watched, my name's Adam Reed. I'm the owner and founder of ARC, Adam Reed Coaching. And I'm a highly qualified professional. So I have a level 4 nutrition qualification. I did it with the BTM Practical Academy under Ben Coomber and Tom Bainbridge. It's like a year-long qualification, not a weekend course. I have a sports science degree. I'm qualified in lots of other coaching areas. And all of my team are qualified nutritionists. And we've got therapists. We've got one of our coaches at the moment is going to university to be a dietitian. She's already a nutritionist. We've got personal trainers. So you can see we've got a lot of expertise amongst me and my team, and we've helped hundreds, if not thousands of women. We've got years and years of experience. Now, you're part of this group because I want to show you how we're helping women, how we're helping our clients. Now, I'm going to go live in this group every single Monday, same time, same place, 8 o'clock, every single Monday to break down what we're doing and try and help you. Now, you want to know a little bit more about me. I'm a dad. I've got two little kids. Got little girl Isla, who's just 3.5, boy, husband, beautiful wife, very lucky. She's very good, brother. But essentially, I'm a bloke who loves to enjoy life. I love ice cream. I love gin. I don't cut anything out of my life. And for me, health is an absolute priority. It's the number. It's invaluable. You can't put a price on it. But I also value quality of life. And the women I work with, I want to show them how to do that. So how to have a quality of life, not always feel like they're on a diet, yet still improve their health, improve their confidence, and be the former confident, vibrant self that they used to be, the women that maybe they feel they've lost. And that's what I'm here for. And that's my purpose. So let's get into it. So we've helped, as I said, I've helped lots and lots of women. This is just a small snapshot. If you go into the guide section of this group, there is a whole section which is client success stories. You'll see before and afters. You'll see testimonials. You'll see 30 to 45 to 60-minute videos of clients talking about their experiences of working with us. So if you haven't seen that yet and you want to see what women's experiences are of working with us, go and check that out. We've helped an awful lot of women. So what I want you to imagine, okay, and I want you to, while you're watching this, I want you to picture this in your head. I want you to imagine being at your goal weight. All right, what would it look like? So, what would you be wearing? Is there an item of clothing in your wardrobe that you would put on you? Something you haven't worn for years. Like, how would that feel? How would you feel if you are at your goal weight? Like, how would it affect your confidence, your self-esteem? How would it impact your energy levels? Like, how would that feel? And who would it benefit? So, of course, it would benefit you if you had more energy and confidence. But who else would it benefit? Like, if you were, imagine yourself in that item of clothing and how you're feeling, like, how is that going to impact those around you? So is it, if you've got kids, if you've got grandchildren, have you got a partner? Are you single but potentially want a partner? Like, I really want you to picture that. And I'm going to come back to this later on because this is super, super important. I had a conversation with someone the other day and I was asking them these questions because I wanted them to dig deep into why this is important. And tonight, you're going to find out why, because this is super, super important. So I want you to think about this deeply. Like, what would it feel like? How would it feel? Who would it benefit? All right. If you feel comfortable enough, share some of that in the comments below. So, what would you be wearing? Let us know in the comments. Like, how would you feel? Describe how you would feel. Tell me, who would that benefit? And tonight, I'm going to break down some of the science-backed secrets behind motivation and willpower. Now, motivation is an absolutely massive topic. It's huge. There's no way you can cover everything tonight, but I'm going to break down what I think are the key points related to the kind of stuff that we do with our clients. Love it, Susan. So Susan's one of our new members. Gold bikini on a yacht. All right. And just how would that feel, Susan? Like, how good would that feel to be in that gold bikini on that yacht? Like, how would you feel as a person? But who would that impact? I can imagine it would probably impact your partner if you're wearing this gold bikini on a yacht. So if you're excited for this evening, just press that like button, that love heart button. We are going to get into this. So if you've struggled with motivation and willpower, the one thing I want you to know is you're not alone. Okay. And the second thing I want you to know, it's not necessarily your fault. And a lot of the women I speak to, they blame themselves. They say, oh, I'm lazy, I'm greedy, I just struggle with motivation and willpower. And I'm going to show you tonight that it's not necessarily the case. It's not just your fault. So Carol Ann's put, I'd look ab fab in my swimwear underwear. Love it. I love it, women. So you're already starting to picture how this can benefit you and how this can benefit those around you. The sad thing is that despite what I've just said, you've been led to believe you didn't want it enough, that you weren't trying hard enough. And I genuinely have got these conversations. So the reason I have these conversations, I've probably had about 700 phone calls with women that potentially want to work with us over the last 18 months. And on these conversations, we kind of go deep into how they're feeling, what's going on. And a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, they'll tell me about their past experiences, how they've been to diet clubs, and the leader at the club have said, oh, well, what did you do wrong? Like, oh, you mustn't have been following the plan. Or they've questioned, whether they've been trying hard enough. So, you've been led to believe by this kind of traditional diet culture that it's all on you. And I'm going to show you I'm going to really show you some stuff tonight that I think hopefully is going to, flick a switch. I just want to cut. So we got Tracy, pretty capri trousers, only worn once, would feel happier, which would please my family. Awesome. Trousers or a skirt that I can tuck a shirt into and not have a spare tire. Start thinking about, so this is awesome. Like, people now starting to really picture themselves, how they would feel, how they would look. But what's really, really important is, and again, I'm going to come to this later on, it's really, really important that you ask these questions and you go deep with this. Who would this benefit and why would it benefit? We will come to that, all right? So we'll come back to that. So we're going to go through a few problems with motivation and willpower. And the first problem is this traditional dieting model and how this does not serve you, especially when it comes to motivation and willpower. And it makes it feel like that you're the failure, that you are lacking in both of them, when it's not always the case. So if you haven't seen this before, I have shown this before. So this is a typical yo-yo cycle, dieting cycle, like the traditional dieting. So you start a diet, and it doesn't matter what diet it is. Essentially, it's not your diet. It's a new diet. And typically within any kind of diet, there is some kind of rules or restrictions. So for example, look at keto. You're not allowed carbohydrates. Look at like Slim World or Weight Watchers, there's points and sins. So certain foods are considered bad and some are good. Look at, cabbage soup diet, like shake diets. You're cutting stuff out. There's some form of restriction. Even calorie counting, if it's not done properly, you are hitting a goal, like a set number. That's not how it should be, by the way. And trying to hit that set number is restrictive. You are putting a restriction on yourself. And what happens here is that this increases cravings. It increases hunger. You can't stop thinking about the foods you're not allowed. And at some point, you will break the rules of the diet. And it's very, very likely that when this happens, because of guilt, because of shame, you feel like a failure, you binge, you overeat. Now, failure is a part of motivation, willpower, in the fact that if you fail, or if you feel unsuccessful, or things are too difficult to stick to, then you are not going to feel motivated. You are going to struggle with willpower. And if you think, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on this, and I'm going to go into the science behind this. So I've talked about a lot of this stuff before, but I'm just going to re-go over it from the angle of motivation and willpower. So if someone said to you, don't think about pink elephants, and you've got this big pink elephant on the screen, what are you going to be what is at the forefront of your mind? So when you start this diet where you've got these rules and you're not allowed certain things, it's always at the forefront of your mind. Subconsciously, whether you recognize it or not, you are constantly telling yourself, I can't eat that. and you'll see it and you go, oh no, I can't, or I can't go to there, or I can't do this, I can't have this here, because it's temptation, because I'm not allowed it. And because you're constantly, you're fighting with your willpower, you're fighting with your motivation, and you're just kind of setting yourselves up for a fall. Well, you're not setting yourselves up for a fall, the diet is. So I'm going to talk about later on, I'm going to talk about what you can do differently. Now, to highlight this, there was a study where there was two groups. One group had no rules. They just had to stick to a certain amount that they had to eat. So they had to follow this. It was worked out for them individually. And they were allowed to eat whatever they liked. They just had to eat a certain amount. This other group, exactly the same, but they had a rule. The one rule that they had was they weren't allowed bread. Now, they lacked motivation and willpower. And the reason I say that is because more of the people in the study where they were not allowed bread dropped out of the study. They didn't finish. They saw less success with weight loss because there was that one rule. They were basically fighting themselves subconsciously not to eat bread. It was harder for them to stick to. It was harder for them to have willpower, to have motivation. And what you have to think about is you can't out willpower dopamine. You can't fight it. So foods that are high in sugar, high in fat, sometimes high in salt, depending on the thing, they trigger dopamine response in the brain. A bit like social media now. So, a lot of people will wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is open up the phone and they scroll social media. And that's because they're searching for that dopamine hit. And it's super powerful. It's really, really hard. And yeah, you could go cold turkey, but are you going to live the rest of your life and not eat chocolate? Are you going to live the rest of your life and not eat those foods which are enjoyable? If you are, great. That might work. That might be a good solution. If you're happy to never eat those foods which release a dopamine hit, then yeah, it's probably a good option for you. But for the majority of people, we want to enjoy food. Food is a pleasurable experience. We don't want to completely rule that out. So by telling ourselves we can't have something, you are then fighting against these powerful physiological responses, because the dopamine response doesn't happen when you eat the food necessarily. It happens before. So I'm going to talk about habit formation later, but let's say when you walk in from work and you're stressed, and this isn't for everyone, but this is a typical thing that I will hear. You're stressed, you go for a cup of tea, and when you have that cup of tea, you have a biscuit. The biscuit releases a dopamine hit, makes you feel good, makes you actually feel less stressed because it's enjoyable. It's called what's called hyperpalatable. And food developers are really, really clever. They now have worked out the right percentage of carbs and fats to make a food more palatable, more tasty, and make you want to eat more of it. So you've got this reward signal, which then says, right, next time I come home from work, subconsciously, your brain is going to be telling you, last time you felt like this, you had a cup of tea and you had a biscuit, and it made you feel better. And you're now going to have to out willpower that. You're going to have to out fight that. And these are strong physiological urges. Now, what you can do is by being more flexible, by including that food and actually telling yourself, no, I'm going to have it, it actually disempowers the food. What we find with our clients, I'm going to talk about this in more depth later, is by creating more flexibility, by showing them that they can incorporate them foods. Now, it might sound backwards, but because they have that flexibility, what we call food freedom, it actually reduces the urges, the cravings, because they don't have to constantly fight with themselves. They're not having to constantly say, well, I can't have this and I can't have that. And genuinely, we have clients that have a chocolate bar every day and lose weight. We have clients that drink, like, not to excess. They're not getting like slaughtered. They don't have drink problems, but they'll have a couple of glasses of wine. They'll have pizza. They have the things that they love every week, and because they understand how to do that. So you can be restrictive, but the problem is you're then fighting willpower and motivation all the time. Actually makes it a lot harder to stick to. And what you need to understand is there is like this bell-shaped curve with motivation. And what that means is if it's really, really easy. So when I say really easy, it means no change. Okay. So if you weren't to change, if you were to keep everything the same, that would be really easy. You don't have to do anything different. And you're not going to be motivated by that, and you're not going to see results. However, if something's really, really hard, so like most diets where you've got to pretty much change everything, if you do like Joe Wicks, you've got to buy a ton of like different ingredients you've never had in your house. You know, if you start a diet, essentially most diets, as I said, have some form of restriction. So you've got to start that diet and already know you've got to give stuff up. That's difficult. So then we're at the other end of the spectrum. So again, it's finding that sweet spot where you allow yourself that stuff and you're in control and you understand how to incorporate it. And this is where motivation gets really, really tricky. Because if it's too hard to get started, if you're not going to be motivated to get started because you don't want to give up all of that stuff. And if it's too easy, you're just going to stay where you are. You're not going to make changes. So I hope this makes sense. So just let me know in the comments, because I haven't had any engagement for a little while. Let me know, you know, press the like button, press the love heart button. Just comment makes sense if what I'm saying so far is making sense. Hopefully this is really helpful. We're going to go into more detail. The other thing which impacts motivation. So first of all, restriction will impact motivation and you'll be constantly fighting with your willpower. The second thing we just talked about is how difficult it is. So how difficult it is to get started, how difficult it is to keep going. And the third thing is clarity. Because actually, nearly every single one of the women I speak to are motivated. So as I said, I've had hundreds and hundreds of phone calls with women potentially interested in working with me. There are nearly 2,000 in this group. And one of the things where they lose motivation is because they either get stuck or they gain some weight. And that isn't the issue. The issue is that they're stuck, they hit a plateau, or they gain some weight and they don't know why. They don't have clarity. So they're following a diet they don't understand. So I think I'm not sure, Slimming World, where you can eat as many carbs as you like. They're following this diet and they're going, well, I don't understand how this works. So essentially, you're following the diet blindly. And that's not your fault. It's because you've seen other people lose weight. It's because it's all you know. Like a lot of women that join the group, they don't even know that you can get this kind of service. So they've just done diet clubs all the time. They've just done diets and fads and shakes because that's all they know. That's all they're aware of. So I'm not blaming anyone. And as I said to you, I think a lot of this is diet culture and this traditional dieting that's out there. So one of the big problems is that they don't know what they're doing and why they're doing it. So why have I plateaued? You know, you go to the diet club and they'll say, you know, well, did you do this? Like, what did you do? Were you trying hard enough? Did you stick to it? Whereas instead of looking actually at your diet over the course of the last week, 2 weeks, looking at your lifestyle, your stress, your sleep, and going, do you know what? It could be this because of this. And it could be this reason. And it might be this reason. So what we're going to do is over the next week, I want you to try and do this. By the way, this is kind of how we work. So we look at everything to be able to kind of help you to understand what's going on with your body. Because even the clients we work with have plateaus. Even the clients we work with, there will be times where their weight comes up. Not often is it fat, and very, very rarely do they not understand why. And because they understand why, because they know what's going on with their body, they have clarity. And because there's clarity, they're motivated to keep going. It's when you don't know. So I spoke to a woman today, she's gained 10 pounds over the last 4 weeks, but she doesn't know why. No one has been able to explain to her. No one's been able to show her what's going on. So she doesn't have clarity. So she's not motivated. Like, why should I continue when I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing? So it's super, super important to understand that. Lorraine, you sound like my old SW leader. Okay, really makes sense. I'm glad it's making sense. I'm glad you're enjoying it so far. So we are going to get into some more. So just to highlight as well. And by the way, I know that some people, as 16%, are successful on diet clubs. However, the research, especially the most recent research, and I'm going to be honest with you, I am bashing diet clubs. But the reason is because I genuinely care about people. I genuinely care about their health. I genuinely care about them being successful. That's the only reason I do that. And apologies if that upsets you, you don't like that, but I do it because I care. And the reason is this statistic. Now, this is taken from a very recent research study. 84%. So more than 8 in every 10. So less than 2 people in a room of 10 that go to diet clubs will reach their goal and keep the weight off. the vast majority will regain all the lost weight and more. And there's more recent research that comes out and shows that actually the nature of diet clubs, the nature of what they are, actually promote unhealthy relationships with food, unhealthy relationships like with themselves, the women, with the people that go there. So yes, I am bashing them, but there's a good reason for that. And it's because I genuinely care and I want to help. So problem number, oh, here we go. I just wanted to love it. So Tracy's one of our clients and her weight has plateaued, but she understands why. In fact, so this is a really good point now. And this is why I love engagement, right? So Tracy, because you understand why, has your motivation stayed the same? Are you still going to keep on with this? So you've had a plateau, and it's happened to, I would say, nearly every single client we've ever worked with. Plateaus happen. And if you don't understand why, then you're going to, you're probably going to stay stuck if you don't know what to do going forwards. So it's really, really important. So Tracy, has your motivation stayed, even though you've plateaued, because you understand why? I'd love you to just stick that in the comments for me. The second problem is external motivation. Now, this is why I said sometimes it's not your fault, because sometimes it is, but only because you don't know any better. And I used to be the same. In fact, this happened to me for my wedding. So obviously I put a picture on a holiday because that's a really common one, but it happened to me for my wedding. So for my wedding, I wanted to get into the best shape of my life. And honestly, I did. Before I knew better, I did this thing my wife found called a boxer's diet. And literally it was a boiled egg for breakfast and some grapefruit. I think I had a little bit of grapefruit and some boiled egg. There was like salad for lunch and not a lot. Like I was starving. It was horrendous. I lost weight and I was doing it because I was doing this quick fix and I was doing this fad. One, because I wasn't educated at the time. And two, because I had my wedding and that was an external motivator. So an external motivator is something that doesn't come from within. So it could be a holiday, it could be a wedding, it could be your birthday. Now, the problem with external motivators is they like, once it's over, it's over. Once you've had the holiday, then what? Once you've had the wedding, then what? Once you've hit your birthday, then what? Like, you can't just keep finding another external motivator to keep going for. And this is what a lot of people do, is they'll do quick fixes to get in shape for a wedding or a holiday or something like that. And then once that's over, because what they've done wasn't sustainable, they just did it for that one time, they then go back to what they did before, and then they're back on that same wheel. And they're just following that same approach over and over and over. At some point, you have to break that cycle and you have to find something more sustainable. And you have to focus on the internal motivation. And this goes back to why I asked you those questions earlier. And I'm going to come to it in more depth later on. But it's super important to ask yourself the questions. Why do you want to lose weight? Why is it important? How would it feel? How would you look? Who would it benefit? That's really, really important. Ask yourself those deep questions. The other thing as well is, if you've got this external motivator, so let's say your motivation is a wedding or holiday, what happens if you veer off track? Again, failure is closely linked to motivation. If you go off track and you know you're not going to hit your goal by that wedding, that holiday, then you give up. Motivation is gone because you're not going to reach that external goal. So I like having goals. Goals are good, and having incremental goals and having something to focus on, but solely having external motivation is not a positive thing. It's not helpful at all. Hopefully this is helpful. So as I said, that leads to quick fixes and unsustainable approaches. Problem number 3, motivation, willpower are finite. They don't last forever. They're not there every day. I don't know anyone. And like, you could speak to professional sports people, you could talk to like Elon Musk, like the most successful people in the world. No one wakes up every day motivated. So if you are relying on motivation and willpower, then you're setting yourself up for a failure straight away. And I'm going to show you what you need to focus on. So before you finish tonight, okay, I'm going to show you what you need to focus on. Okay, so there's a different way. First of all, like, imagine knowing exactly what to do, being in full control and never having to diet ever again. I'm super proud of this, that women that commit to our program and see it through never, ever join a diet club, do another diet ever again. Okay, I'm super proud of that. And that's kind of what we're going to go through tonight. So women like Ange, so she dropped 2 dress sizes in 12 weeks. And she then lost another dress size. She dropped 3 dress sizes within 6 months. And she's doing this in the middle of the pandemic whilst completing her PhD. Like, you talk about struggling with time, struggling with lots of stuff going on. These pictures are 8 weeks apart. And she has maintained without a problem now. She's been with us over a year, no coaching for 12, since that first 12 weeks. She's not worked with anyone. She's just stayed as a member because she loves our community. And she has maintained with ease. Natalie, she lost 40 pounds in 6 months and has maintained with ease. Again, another lady that's just stayed part of our community because she loves the community, doesn't get any coaching, doesn't get anything else. She just loves being a part of it because of everything that's there. And she's maintained with ease. And before we were working together, she was meticulously calorie counting and she was stuck. She just wasn't getting results. Diane never lost more than 15 pounds. Well, within the first 12 weeks working with us, she lost 20. She's now lost 42 and has maintained since the start of the year without any problem, despite having thyroid issues. She's currently seeing hospital and lots of medical staff because she's actually suffering thyroid issues. And despite that, despite her thyroid going hypo and hyper and being all over the place, she's maintained her weight since January. She's doing incredible. She doesn't work with us anymore, so she's left now. So I want to tell you now that there's this myth that you have to eat healthy food. I don't even know what that means. You have to eat boring or bland food. The truth is, and the science shows, that you can't achieve sustainable results without flexibility and without eating the food you love. And if you think about it, if we're talking about motivation and willpower, think about when you have to cut those foods out, how much willpower and motivation you need. Whereas if you understand how to incorporate them and include them, how much less motivation you need, how much less willpower you need. You actually disempower the food because you're allowed it. You're no longer craving it, because actually you go, well, I can have it if I want it. So think about that. And in order to do that, all you've got to simply do is you've got to build your favorite foods into the equation and manage it over the course of a week. So really, really simply, and this is why I don't ask people to send me pictures of their food or show me their meals, because one meal doesn't matter. One food doesn't matter. You can have a chocolate bar every day and lose weight. Now, I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying go and do that, but you can. You could eat nothing but sweets and still lose weight if you know what you're doing. And there's a professor of nutrition that actually did that to prove a point. Professor Haub, if you want to look it up and Google it. So you need to look at your diet over the course of a week. And this is why we have a one-to-one approach, because you need someone to look at what's going on over the course of a week, over the course of a month, and look into what's going over a period of time. Because it doesn't matter if you're doing something 3, 4, 5 days a week, but then the other 2 days, everything just goes to pot. Or if you're doing it 2 weeks and then 2 weeks, everything goes to pot, then you're not going to see results. So as long as you end the week in a negative energy balance, you're going to see results, the opposite of a bank balance. So the best approach is a one you can stick to. It's going to require less willpower, less motivation. And let's be honest, you're never going to eat clean, healthy foods in perfect hand size measurements for the rest of your life. You're never going to follow meal replacement shakes for the rest of your life or any kind of crazy diet. So if you ever do a diet and you think, I can't do this longer than 6 months, I can't do this longer than a year, I can't do this 2 years down the line, then you're setting yourself up for a failure. So think about that. Like if you can't see yourself sticking to it, if there are foods off limits that you love, you need to find a way to include them. You've got to create flexibility. And that's going to help you stay motivated as well, because you're going to enjoy the process. So here's what we do. And tonight, if you stick around, I'm going to do something I've never done. And this has been So one of our latest members, a lady called Jill, she messaged me today because I've done something in our members group where I've highlighted our like kind of weekly schedule and what's on offer and where they can find stuff. And Jill watched it and was like, oh my God, if you had shown me this, there would have been no hesitation signing up. So tonight I'm going to do something I've never done. If you stick around, I'm going to go live into our members group. I'm going to screen share in there. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what we offer in there. Now, that isn't the program. That isn't the whole program. I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. And I think what I'm going to show you now is really going to help you. So you want to stick around so you can see what actually you need to focus on. So we educate and we create clarity. So we have educational videos that are like 5-10 minutes long. We have guest speakers. So we have Tom Bainbridge, who is one of the top nutritionists in the UK. He delivered the BTM Practical Academy to me. So he taught me how to be a nutritionist. He delivered the whole year-long study. He comes and he's a guest speaker for our clients once a month, and they can ask him questions. He literally goes into depth about anything that they need help with. We've had Diane Danzebrink from Menopause Support come in and do an hour-long presentation with a Q&A about HRT. We had Amanda Phoebe, who is like the Amazon bestseller book, Menopocalypse, come into the group. So we have these people in there to educate our clients so that they have real clarity, not just around diet, not just around weight loss, but around everything, around the psychology behind food, around appetite, craving, snacking, HRT, menopause, all of the things that are really, really important. So we give our clients the tools to do it on their own. So I want you to think about this. Do you want the answer sheet or do you want the understanding to do it on your own? What's going to be more motivating? If you're just told what to do, is that motivating? If you're just said, eat this, don't eat that, here's a meal plan, how motivational is that? Will that be motivating for a long time? Whereas if you're given the tools to make the decisions for yourself, so I used to be a teacher. So the easiest way to kind of talk about this is imagine you get the answer sheet for an exam, like a maths test, right? You're going to ace that test. Fantastic. But what about the second paper? What about the calculator paper? What about when you leave school and you've got to apply your knowledge in the real world, maybe to do your accounts or whatever, you know, to add stuff up, whatever it is. Are you going to have the tools, the knowledge to do that? Well, what we try and do is we try and give our clients the tools, the understanding, so they can do well in that first test, the second test, and when they leave school. So when they leave us, they understand everything so they can do it on their own. And that's motivating. One of the key things with motivation is feeling empowered, having autonomy. Okay, autonomy is really, really powerful for motivation. So having that knowledge, that understanding. We provide flexibility. So as I've highlighted, if you can enjoy what you're doing, if you don't have to fight willpower because you can include all of the stuff you love, how much easier is that? How much easier is it to maintain? So one thing we've done recently is we've developed our own template. It's not a meal plan. So it's not, you must eat this, you must eat that, but it's kind of like a pick and mix. So it makes it quick and easy. It means you don't have to calorie count. So all our clients follow a different approach. Some of them do calorie count because they like it and they like numbers, and we educate them on how to do that properly. Some of them use the template. Some of them use different methods. But our template is one way of having flexibility. And on the template is a whole snack section with wine, chocolate, cake, brownies to show you can have that stuff every day. So the snack section, you can pick something from there every day to have. So we show our clients how to get flexibility. The other thing, you need to make it easy to take action and feel success. So as we talked about, if it's too difficult, you're not going to get started. So if you're going to have to give up stuff, if it's not enjoyable, if making a massive bunch of changes, then you're just not going to get started. Or if you do, you're not going to be able to stay motivated for long. And if it's too easy, as in you don't have to make any changes, you're not going to be motivated by that either. So it's about making it easy and simple. So what we do is we do things step by step. Hence, again, why we have a one-to-one approach. So we look at the person as a whole. So we get them to fill out an initial assessment. We look at their lifestyle, we look at their activity levels, we look at their diet, and we go into detail in that. And then we kind of look at, okay, what's the biggest step that we can help them to make? What's the one small thing within their current lifestyle we can help them to change that they can do, which feels so they feel successful, and will get them to start losing weight at the same time? How can we help them to start improving their health? And each week we'll review that, and it will be step by step by step, like building blocks. So one thing you need to be aware of is that action inspires motivation. No one sits around waiting for motivation to just go bang and hit them. Typically what happens is people will take action. They will do something. So it might be that you start the diet. The fact that you've made that decision, so you've gone to diet, that inspires your motivation. And if you think about it, whenever you felt motivated, it's because something has happened. You've done something. You've taken some sort of action, whether it's to go for a walk, whether it's to make a decision with your lunch. So think about this, like tomorrow, do something first thing in the morning that's going to help you feel successful, whether that's drink a glass of water, make a healthy choice for breakfast. I bet you that feeling of a good choice, of some kind of success, will inspire you and make you feel more motivated. If you wake up and you don't make any positive decisions, you're going to stay unmotivated. It's the action which will inspire it. Motivation doesn't just hit you, unless there's only one time it does. The only time it will hit you is where you're in a place of absolute pain, that it's more difficult to stay where you are than it is to make change. Change is hard. Change is really difficult. And more often than not, it's more comfortable, even though we don't like to admit it, it's more comfortable just doing what we've always done. It's more comfortable staying as we are. So hence why we don't make necessary changes and we don't take those steps. However, there is one time where motivation will hit you and it will start without you having to take action. And that's where you're in a place where staying as you are is more painful, more costly than taking those steps and making that change. Now, for some people, that can be a terrible place to be in, and that could be a hard place to get out of. And I hope that none of you wait to that point. So we need to start taking action. Action is what's going to inspire motivation. And we need to build internal motivation. So as I talked about, external motivation can be helpful. It's always good to set goals, but it needs to come from within. And this is why I ask a lot of the women I speak to, especially if they're potentially interested in working with us, why do you want to lose weight? Like, why is it important? Why not just stay where you are? And typically they'll come up with a surface level answer. I want to feel more comfortable in my clothes. That's not the real answer deep down. Why do you want to feel more comfortable in your clothes? Because I want more confidence. Why do you want more confidence? You've got to ask yourself these difficult questions, because that's going to give you internal motivation. Thinking about where you are currently and you're not happy is going to push you to take action. Having that internal motivation all the time and reminding yourself is going to help you to stay on the path. So a couple of things we do with our clients, or we've kind of shown them, is we do something called the 5 whys, where we get them to ask whys and really dig into that. And we get them to write a self-doctrine, and we want them to read that as often as possible to remind them of why they're doing this, why it's important, who does it impact, who does it benefit. And it's not just about you, because actually, if you really dig into it, doing this for yourself, improving your health, which probably going to improve your energy levels, your confidence, so many areas of your life, doesn't just benefit you. If you really think about that deeply, you'll agree that actually it's going to benefit so many people around you. And because we work one-to-one, we get to the root. So why does your motivation disappear? Is it because of stress? Is it because there's something going on in your life which is stressful? It's not that you're not motivated, because all the women that are in this group have taken action. You have seen an ad, you've pressed on an ad, you've entered your name, your email address, and you've joined this group. And you're watching this now. You are an action taker. You're motivated. There is nothing wrong with your motivation. Maybe you need more clarity. Maybe you need better understanding. Maybe you need help with one of these things. Maybe you're an emotional eater. Maybe you don't manage your time effectively. Maybe you're stressed. Maybe there's cravings, appetite. Maybe you need help with something which is causing you to not be able to stay motivated, or not be able to stay on track, or stay consistent. But let's be real for a minute. We've helped close to 200 women in the last 18 months. All of those women were motivated before they started working with us. They all wanted to lose weight. It was important to them. It's not that when they joined us that we gave them motivation and willpower, because we didn't. They already had that, which is why they joined us. We've given them all the other stuff. And that's what's helped them to get the weight off. That's what's helped them to keep it off. And we help the women we work with to create long-lasting habits. And this is the key. So I can only help you, and what I teach can only help you if you're ready to ditch the diets, if you're ready to ditch the quick fixes and the fads and focus on lifestyle changes, on habits. Because to create lasting change, you have to repeatedly make the right decision without conscious effort. Conscious effort is willpower. It's making a conscious decision to do or not to do something, because it's not dependable. It's not there all the time. Think about when you brushed your teeth or learned to brush your teeth. You weren't motivated. Like, my daughter's not motivated to brush her teeth, but it will become a habit because she has to just repeatedly do it morning and night, morning and night. And it's this kind of mindset and it's this kind of approach, this consistency, which is going to serve you and make you successful long-term. But you can't do that with a million things. So when you start a diet, you work with a personal trainer, typically they'll be like, right, I want you to drink 3 liters of water. I want you to do 20,000 steps. Sorry, I'm exaggerating. Do this, do this, do this. Imagine trying to be consistent at hitting all of those things. Again, you're setting yourself up for failure. As soon as you feel that you failed, bang, motivation's gone. Oh, sod it. I might as well not bother. So you've got to hit that sweet spot, not too difficult that you can't do it consistently, not too easy that you're not making any changes, that you can stick to it, you can feel success and you can make progress. So this is that habit creation process that I talked about. So the trigger, you're stressed, you walk in from work. The action, you turn the kettle on, you reach for a biscuit. The reward, dopamine hit. You've built a reward, like a feedback loop that repeats and repeats and repeats. You need to do this with healthy habits. So you need to think about, okay, what one habit am I going to do? Like, what action is going to lead me to do that habit? And what reward am I going to give myself? And try not to reward yourself with food and stuff like that. Try and reward yourself with other things. Because to be honest, with healthy habits, it's delayed gratification. There isn't really anything that you can do that's health-wise that's going to give you an immediate response, an immediate positive response, apart from maybe exercise. But exercise, as I've spoken about before, isn't the most significant thing when it comes to weight loss. It's great, so many health benefits, like definitely exercise, but it's probably not the first habit I'd focus on, and it's not the most important one to focus on. However, it's one of the only ones that there is a reward because of the release of serotonin. There is an actual psychological reward with it. So what you have to do when you're thinking about this is, what reward can you give yourself for completing a healthy action? And try and make it a non-food related reward. So the key to lasting success is building habits in sequential order to anchor belief and sustain results. So as I said, step by step. So this is kind of like our 3 pillars. So food freedom, giving you flexibility. So you haven't got to fight with yourself. You don't need willpower to constantly go, oh, I can't eat this and I can't eat that. Sustainable steps, step by step, building habits. And then rediscovery why. That's to do with your mindset. So this is why all these 3 pillars are so important about having them all in place. Now, that's kind of it for the presentation. But before I go, before I leave, I've got an amazing opportunity this week. I'm not going to ask you to comment I'm next unless you're watching this on replay. So if you're watching it, the week is, what's the week? So it's Monday the 17th of May. If you're watching this from Monday the 24th of May onwards, and you've watched this and you're like, oh my God, I want to work with you. I want you to take me by the hand. I want one of your coaches to take me by the hand and help me get results like your clients. Then comment I'm next. However, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this week, I don't want you to comment I'm next. And the reason why is this week, tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. and you don't want to miss this, I am going to be putting out an incredible opportunity. All right, so 7:30 a.m. It will be first come, first served. There'll be an amazing opportunity. So keep your eye on that. But before you do that, if you want me to, and I need people to say hell yes in the comments. If you want me to, I will show you inside our private members group. As I said, Jill messaged me today saying, if you had shown me this, if I had known what was in place before I started working with you, it would have been a no-brainer. So I want to see some hell yeses in the comments, and I will screen share live into our private members group, and I will give you an insight in what we deliver in there. So what is on offer, but only if I get enough interest. So only if I start getting some hell yeses. So Caroline, you're a member. You're going to get to see it soon. You're going to get access in the next couple of days. Okay, so Joyce, Janice, Lorraine, you're already a member. You already know what's in there. Okay, just bear with me when I'm going to share my screen. By the way, if you've enjoyed this evening, if you've got a lot from it, let me know in the comments. Press the like button, the love heart button. Let me know if you've enjoyed it, if it's been helpful. And while I'm trying to get up the Facebook group so I can show you inside it, feel free to drop any questions in the comments below. And I'm more than happy to answer them before I disappear. I've got about 10 minutes. So I'm going to fill that 10 minutes going through our members group and answering all your questions. So it's just taking a little bit of time to load because I'm streaming into the Facebook and I'm using Zoom. It is a little bit slow, so just bear with me. Okay, so it might be a little bit slow trying to show you the group. So do bear with me. Do be patient. Okay, we're nearly there. Okay, should be ready. Screen share. Okay, so the group is just loading, so you can't see anything yet. So I've gone into the group, so you can see there's 91 members. Obviously, not all clients, not all people we work with, because we've got, I think, about 6 coaches, and like there's a few other people that are part of my team. So we've got a team of people. So in the guide section, so every single week, we have either a guest speaker presentation or a live Q&A. So Chloe is like our kind of main guest speaker. So Chloe is a trained therapist, nutritionist, and life coach. She is incredible. And what she specializes in, she actually specializes in working with women with eating disorders, body dysmorphia. So when she comes to work with our clients, she's got a toolbox to help the women we work with to improve their self-image, to work through self-sabotage. So you can see she did a Q&A and she did some stuff here on anxiety and emotionality. You see Diane Danzebrink from Menopause Support came in and did an hour-long presentation. Body dysmorphia, but there's 39 group call recordings, but every single month we get a guest speaker in and we have like these presentations. We have bodyweight workouts twice a week. So a lady called Chrissy, she delivers those. You can do those live. As you can see, there's like 50 recorded workouts. They're generally body weight or resistance bands. We have yoga. There's now access to 6 yoga sessions with Lindsay. But again, we've got like nearly 60 recorded yoga sessions. Our weekly schedule. We have like a recipe book with like 180 recipes, but also Katie, one of our coaches, she owns her own tea room. So she provides like really interesting recipes on top of the recipes we already have to give women new ideas, know how to use their leftovers. Top tips in education, there's like nearly 50 videos in there. Like how to behavior change, how to look, motivation. There's absolutely like a ton of stuff in there. Wellness Wednesday. So meditation, breath work, sleep, like just all stuff around gut health and wellness. More exercise stuff, fakeaways. So this is just the group. So in terms of like how we help the women, obviously I've talked tonight about what we do, like individually. So it's a one-to-one program. So we work one-to-one so that we can give intervention around lifestyle, diet, exercise. We provide training plans if need be. We obviously have the yoga. We've now introduced Pilates. So we have a really holistic point of view. Like, we don't just want to, we're not a diet club. Okay, this isn't just a weight loss program. We want to look at your sleep. We want to look at your nutrition. We want to look at your exercise, your activity. We want to look at your stress and everything that's going on, because they are all intertwined. And it's really, really important that we help you and give you support with that. And that's, I think, why our women get great results, but not just why they get great results. They understand how to maintain them because they have that high level of understanding. They get support with every area of their life. And I think that's what really makes the difference. So I hope that little insight was helpful. I hope it shows people actually what we do, and it isn't just a diet club or stand on the scales. Here's what your weight is. So I'm just going to see if I've got any questions. I am going to finish up. So bye, Adam. Bye, Tracy. Motivation hard. There are so many obstacles. Absolutely, Karen. But as I said, like, I've kind of hopefully broken down them. Is there, in fact, Karen, is there any obstacles that I haven't talked about that you have? Like, any particular obstacles that you face? Caroline, really refreshing and achievable. Yep, I'm looking forward to getting to work with you, Caroline. Thanks, Adam. These reminders again this week. Kath, hell yes. Probably see you at 7:30. Chloe is awesome. She is, Lorraine. Caroline, absolutely amazing. I really can't wait. It's going to be all about me for the first time in my life. And it will. It will. Super excited to work with you, Caroline. Caroline just signed up today. Joyce, the more I hear, the more I love your work. Thank you for accepting me. I know I will gain so much from this journey. Absolutely. Okay, no questions. I hope you've enjoyed this evening. So yeah, if you don't want to miss out on the opportunity that I'm posting tomorrow, you want to make sure that you head into the group as close to 7:30 as possible. The opportunity will only run till Friday at 2 p.m. So if anyone is genuinely interested, you're probably going to have to jump on it pretty quickly. It's something I don't think ever done before, and there's going to be some changes coming. So yep, keep your eyes on that, 7:30 tomorrow. And that's it. Thank you ever so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for engaging. I love all the engagement this evening. Have a great evening, and I'll see you all soon.